Hello, you're probably watching this because you've been wondering about free birth. What is free birth? Why would somebody have a free birth? And do all birth doulas go to free births? Do they attend them? Do they promote it? And so I'm going to answer those questions for you today. So free birth in Australia is where women want to give birth at home without anybody who is a qualified medical person. So no midwife, no nurse, no doctor, no obstetrician, not a GP. And they want to give birth at home under their own steam. So they don't really want any other medical person around. So sometimes it's just the woman and her partner. Sometimes it's the woman, her partner and friends or family. Or it could be woman, partner, and friends, family, and a birth doula. So unfortunately, some pregnant women in Australia think that a birth doula is equal to a fully qualified midwife, and that's not the case at all. And so even though birth doulas can be very knowledgeable and can be extremely helpful, then I'd be suggesting that having a birth doula attend alongside a midwife would be a good idea. And that would be the case in any situation. So why would a woman have a free birth? I think top of the list is that she just doesn't trust the medical system. She's either scared or unfamiliar with the hospital system and doctors. She's heard a lot of negative birth stories. She's heard a lot of horror stories. She may have read things. She might be gathering information that's extremely negative. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is the reason to have an out-of-hospital birth, whether it's a free birth or a home birth, and they're very different, they're very separate, is that people are often quite negative about the hospital system or the medical system and the things they might do to you. But the truth is that you have rights, and if you've got the right people around you, you can most certainly have a wonderful birth in hospital. So let's just park that one for the moment. Having a look at the guidelines, the recommended guidelines in Australia for midwives, especially midwives who are independently practicing or they're a home birth midwife, the guidelines are for a midwife to care for a woman at home unless certain things are absolute red flags that mean we should really transfer in for the safety of the mother and the safety of the baby. So I'm not going to go down the track of what all of those things are. If you're pregnant and you want to find out about that, you can have a chat with a home birth midwife. But one of the important things to know is that the guidelines for a home birth is for a home birth midwife to care for a woman and then also have a second, what we call a backup home birth midwife, attend the birth as well. Now, what's the reason for that? So the reason is that we want two fully qualified home birth midwives at the birth so that if something happens with the mum, there's a complication, there's a medical health problem, then one midwife will be focused on the mum, and if there's a problem with the baby at birth, whether it's breathing or whatever it might be, then we've got another fully qualified midwife who can care for the baby and take good care of the baby. So a doula is not qualified to do either of those things, and a doula will be able to assist the midwives. She'll be able to run and fetch and carry or call emergency, call an ambulance or something like that. Now let's just pause there for a moment. This situation is actually very unusual and it's quite rare. Now the reason is that midwives have guidelines of who should have a home birth and who shouldn't, who should be encouraged to go to hospital instead. And so that's how midwives are very careful to reduce the risk factor of home births. So by making sure that the mother is what we refer to as low risk, then it's reducing the risk of home birth. So I've had a home birth. Would I have a free birth? No. My midwife was awesome, and I was delighted to have my midwife at my home birth, and I felt much more confident and comfortable. My mum was there. I had a couple of friends there, my partner was there, Mum was there looking after my little 3.5-year-old at the time. Now, I was perfectly fine and my baby was perfectly fine, and a lot of that was thanks to the midwife and the education that she gave me. And I had already birthed in a hospital, in a birth centre, first time around. So I was able to have a lot of confidence in having a home birth. So that gives you some information, a little bit of information about free births. Do I encourage birth doulas to go after free births? No, I don't, but I certainly wouldn't criticise anybody who went to a free birth. Sometimes it's an accidental thing, especially if the woman's had a forceps delivery first time around and then she's pregnant, having a baby second time around, or second and subsequent births, and it may all happen quite suddenly, quite quickly. So, you know, sometimes it's an accidental out of hospital birth. And so that's a possibility, but it's not all that likely. It's pretty unusual for a woman to want to have a free birth. It's very rare. So some people might consider the idea for a while and then change their mind as their pregnancy progresses. Maybe as they learn more, and maybe as they realise that they feel very connected to their baby and they want to have a very safe birth with a fully qualified midwife with them. So if they can't afford a home birth midwife, then they might choose to go to hospital. They might already be booked into a hospital and just be kind of thinking about the idea of having a free birth. And I guess I can get that too. The idea of being able to give birth on your own and just really cherish the experience without any interruption, having an undisturbed birth, I can understand that. I can appreciate that thinking. Would I do that? No. Have I ever been to a free birth? No, I haven't. I did get invited to one once, many years ago, and that woman, we were having a chat over the phone. We only lived a suburb apart from each other. She'd already given birth 3 times, totally naturally, and so this was baby number 4. We were just having a casual chat over the phone. She said, "Oh, Julie, if I'm kind of at home and if I'm in the bath and if I just happen to be pushing, you know, would you pop over to my place and just catch the baby, help me out?" And I thought about it and I dipped into my intuition and I said, no, I won't. And I thought carefully about it. I very much respected her and very much respected that she would be perfectly capable of giving birth naturally. And I had a lot of confidence in her. And then I thought, no. Now, a couple of quick thoughts went through my mind. If something went wrong, I wouldn't want that to be in my mind for the rest of my life. Now, fast forward to the end of her pregnancy. We were in the hospital, we were in a birth centre. We had this fantastic, extremely experienced midwife with us. The short version of the story is the baby got stuck, shoulders, and it took a heck of a lot to birth that baby. Would that have happened at home? I'm not really sure, to be honest, because there was a lot of people invited to that birth and there was a lot of noise and there were children, there was a lot of relatives, and it really wasn't the ideal situation for that mum to be birthing. But never mind, let's push that off to one side. So she was pushing, the shoulders got stuck, and we needed to get her to stand and push. Anyway, the baby did come out, but the baby was more than a little bit shocked. And that baby did need transfer to neonatal intensive care, and she was in hospital for a while. And of course, she's perfectly fine and mum's perfectly fine. And it was after that that we quietly said to each other, good that you were in hospital, good that we had a proper qualified midwife with us rather than just be the two of us. And so that's been a big lesson in my life. And now I can tell you something else about that one. That beautiful chubby baby has grown up. She fell pregnant and she came back to my classes and she was talking about her birth. And I hesitated and I said, "Oh, no, you that's not exactly accurate," whatever the comment was that she made about her birth. And I said, "I was at your birth." And so I was able to explain it to her and guide her through what occurred. without scaring her, of course. So, so there you have it, free birth. I can understand people wanting to do that or flirting with the idea of having a free birth. Would I recommend it? Nope. I think babies are very precious. I think mums are very precious. And I very much respect midwives and their qualifications. And I would always recommend having a home birth with a fully qualified independent home birth midwife. So that's my personal opinion about it all. Okay.